Okay, chapter 8, we're going to find out where Ellen is going. I stayed at the art teacher's house until it got warm and green outside. The law said I could stay temporarily until somebody decided what to do next. She lived in a blue house with plants in the windows and hanging all in the kitchen. Roy is her husband, and he could clean a house like a woman, wash the dishes, do the clothes, do it all and smile when you asked him how he could stand working like a woman. She told me to call her Julia, her real name, when we were at home. So many things came to me so fast. I did not know how to keep up. One thing we did was go to a movie in town right in the middle of the day. It was a long cartoon. I cannot think of the name to save my life. It was okay to start with, but it got long and I couldn't bear it anymore. They will not let you get up and mill around and where folks are trying to see the show, so I went in the lobby for the popcorn lady to stare me down. I put it all on the list to tell Starletta. I slept in the guest room. She said I was free to decorate, but it was no need, you know how to pack it up. I kept my box of mess from the old house in the closet. The microscope came in handy when I had nothing to do. That was a good buy. Word got out at school that I was staying with the art teacher. Some boy I do not know good had something cute to say about it. Just like me staying with Julia had something to do with her putting check plus wonderful on my art. Ha! He could shut his mouth or I would punch him, is what I said. I got up close in his face and he did not say anything back. He better watch out for me, is what else I said. I'm strong as an ox. Me and Julia and Roy laughed and carried on right much. Every Sunday we would all three lay on the floor, drawing each other with blue hair on two noses or something silly, you name it. Or we would all take part in reading Prince Valiant and stand up and strike a pose when it's your turn to read. That was the best. The warmer it got, the more we stayed in the yard. She said it was good I loosened up. We would run around and she would tell me to let it all hang out. Let your hair down. Good golly, Miss Molly, let it all hang out. Go with the flow, she would say. Make up a tune and throw in some words and just go with the flow. I had no idea people could live like that. If you did not know them, you would call them off the rocker. But they were just happy, she said with a big H. You could see it leak out sometimes. She would grin and don't say you just love the sunshine, or she and Roy would nibble on each other and speak some French. Sometimes she would grab me and say, "You are so neat." One day I asked her what they were doing here and where they were from. At first she said Pluto. If I did not know so much about space, I would have said okay and went right out with my business. But I said we were not from outer space. Where are you really from? She said she would be straight with me. Both Roy and I were raised in the Northeast. We always liked the South, so we finished college. We decided to settle down here and have a family. Me, where I could teach and Roy could do his thing in peace. Oh, our dream had always been to have a quiet place in the country far away from the city hassles. Our minds were so polluted by city life that we needed all this space and serenity to find ourselves. Oh, she lived in the 60s. She used to be a flower child, but now is low key so she can hold a job. She went on and said when she was young, like me, she wanted to save the world. I asked her from what? From people like your father, she told me. You mean there's more like him? You mean he is not the only one? I need to know. Once I got him in my head, it was hard to shake him out. I mostly worried that he might do me off with some cash money. When Julia said there are more like him, I shuddered to think that God let him and the rest slip through. The day he made my daddy, he was not thinking straight. My daddy was a mistake for a person. The times me, Julie, and Roy worked in the garden, I didn't think about him, but my mama, and the way she liked to work in the cool of the morning. She nursed all the plants, but even the weeds she'd pull up and have little piles along the rows. My job was to pick the piles up and dispose of them. In my small, I was small my own self and did not have the sense to tell between weeds and plants. I just worked in the trail my mama left. When the beans were grown ready to eat, she would let me help her pick. Weeds do not bear fruit. She would give me an example of a bean that is grown good to hold in one hand when I would pick the other. If I was not sure if a particular bean was in the right stage, I would hold up my example of the bean to the bean in question and know. It took a long time to pick that way, but you have to sort of time while she's humming. I know I have made being in the garden with her into a regular event, but she was really only like that for one season. You see, if you tell yourself the same tale over and over enough time, then your tellings become separate stories, and you will generally fool yourself into forgetting you only started with one solitary season out of your life. That is how I do it. Julia and Roy were determined not to use bug killer or fertilizer from town on their garden. They went organic. He mixed the dirt and chicken shit and promised us tomatoes and peppers that would blow the mind. He would mix it all up with both arms up to the elbows and say how this was his dream. I helped, but only with the shovel. The hands were not made to dabble and scoop in chicken shit. We went outside every day to see what, if anything, was growing yet. I made them bet me which would grow first. Then they told me one day my birthday was coming up, so I didn't have to mind. So what did I have a mind to do? They got my goat because I had forgot that I even turned 11 without my knowledge. Do I have to decide now? Is what I need to know. No, but you give us some time to plan, okay? What do you think I should do? What do you do if it was you were me? She wanted to know what I usually do. I always turn the next stage during the day. I go to bed and feel different. How about a celebration? That is not for me. The only girl I know good to invite is Starletta, and she by herself is not a party. Sure she is. She came to my house. Starletta came on Saturday morning and she brought the present and the little town just like I requested. She was proud because she had only lost the post office and the fire marshal. I took her right into my room and unfolded the town. I tried to trick her into letting me keep the town and she keep the present she bought. I figured it was wrapped up would appeal to her and that she would not be paying attention to me looking all under the bed and examining all that was not nailed down. This was party enough for Starletta. She did not need cake or a matinee movie to have a fine time. She liked the idea of scratchy carpet on the floor, and all into the closet under the bed she crawled on her stomach. She was in love and rubbing all her body parts on the floor. When she got through touching in my room, we loaded up and went to the movies. Julia dropped us off and said to be good and wait inside till after it was over. So Starletta is seeing carpet for the first time, and that's what she's talking about. She's like, laying on the carpet and like probably rubbing her feet on the carpet and her hands on the carpet because she's not used to seeing carpet. Starletta was the only color girl at the movies, and she was mine. When it got out of turn to get tickets, Starletta could not produce her dollar. Oh God, I said to Starletta and pulled her off the line where I could search her. I told her to stand still and be lucky that I'm not the police that will rough you up in the little process. That's terrible. I searched all up in her shirt and around the trim of her drawers where a mama would usually pin a dollar. I finally found the dollar rolled up, stuck in her sock. She was better than I expected her to be in the movies. She squirmed a little, and at the start, when she got used to the dark and the music, she went to sleep. Roy had cake on the kitchen table when we got home. It featured my name, Ella, in curvy letters like a bakery, but Roy swore he made it. It tasted the way you might expect pink to be. They scared my pants off telling me to make a wish so loud. I wished I could make the wish later when I could think for myself. Starletta stared at her slice until I told her it was food and to dig in. She did not understand how slices and modest servings go, so I had to tell her to quit eating. Save some to take home with you, is what I told her. It made her grin to think Starletta having some birthday cake after supper. She took a hunt with the end part out of my name. The cake left the table, and here come the presents. It was just Christmas, and all the things I got then. Now just looked all the presents on the table. Julia said they went all out. Starletta waved and pointed to one she brought, so I opened it first. It was not in a box, but wrapped as is. Her mama had made me a Dutch girl pillow to stick on my bed. You can always tell one by the hat and the shoes. Tell your mama I thank her, I said to her. Say it over in your head and loud when you leave the house. Roy and Julia gave me a round thing with colored pencils that stood up on circles and circles with white one on the top in the middle. You can use to make clouds with this. It's the point by itself. You can always grab the first one. But the pencils were not all. There was oil paint. We do not even have paint like this at school, I said. Julia, this is like your paint. By God, they are oil paints that do not wash off with water, and to change a picture idea after you started once, you just have to tear the whole business up and start all over. You can use them to paint something the way it's supposed to be, not all watered down, but strong. I want to thank everybody for the party and gifts, and Starletta especially for coming. Old Starletta is amazed at the pencils and the little tubes spread all over the table. You could smear her whole self up like a trick or treat Indian if I'd let her. I told her, do not even think about it. I am serious about this art supply. You can have my old crayons if you need something to ruin. When she was standing at the door for Roy to ride her home, I gave her crayons and her town. I did not ride to get her or to take her home because Roy and Julia were afraid of who might I see on the way. They lived miles from him, but Starletta is a neighbor. I thought about him too, and we all walked outside to say goodbye. You tell your mama.